No, don't worry, it's just like 10 lines left.
10 lines.
Just 10 lines. 10 lines. Line 1, line 2, line 3. So, the way we read it is obviously a very free way, because if you look at it from like a Christian point of view, then you're not supposed to do it then, because it's always very dogmatic. You're supposed to know what the Holy Fathers are saying on it. But if you do it from the Jewish point of view, then we have this beautiful cats. Then we have this beautiful tradition called Midrash commentary, when you just say what you see in it. You just say what you see in it, and it's true. And if somebody else says something opposite, then it's also true, because any text, not necessarily religious, any text, any story is infinite. That's how we look at it. And again, if we suppose it's a holy text written by Spirit, by the Gnomiki, by God, it doesn't matter, then it includes the reading on all levels. So if you're really clever, you know all stuff, then there's a reading for you. If you're stupid like we are and you know very little, then there's another reading for you. And it's also true, because it's holistic, wholly holistic. So we can do what we are doing, really, why would we care? Whew. So lions, 10 lions, 10 lines, 10 lines. Okay. Alexandra, do you have any comments yet for the text? Okay, I take it as a no. Right, home. So then we come back to the idea of land, Eretz, is it Eretz 24? Yeah, Eretz. Idea of land and water. Land where we can live, and water where something strange is happening. So how many living things you have made, O Lord? You have exhibited great chokhmah in making all of them. The earth is full of the living things you have made. So earth is full of the living things, and how about water? Over here is a deep, wide sea, which teems with innumerable swimming creatures, living things both small and large. So we move into water, into the sea, and also we have life in it. So what does it say? What does it say? Line 25. So again we have the word living, life, living ones. Okay, then we have the word sea, gadol. So Hebrew isn't very inventive, same as English. You just have the word great for everything. So here the same, you have the word gadol, big for everything, big in size, big like great, big like amazing. So that's the word we have here. We don't really have many adjectives in Hebrew, really very few in Old Hebrew. Yam Gadol, a big sea, and then we have the word hand. Then we have the word hand. Yadim. Hand. Where is hand in here? Where is hand in here? 25? Do they have any? 25? Yeah. The sea is great and broad of hands, literally. So if you look at the commentary to that translation, then they say that literally the sea is big and broad of hands. So sea has hands. Maybe, I don't know. And then we have the word which they translate like swimming creatures, but remes is like creepers. So it can mean insects, it can mean reptiles, it can mean creatures of the sea. It has different meanings. So all these creatures which live here, living ones. Again, we have the word connected with life. Ktonot, gdolot, small and big, which is interesting because usually we say big and small in our culture, but here it's small and big. Oh, I like your style.
That's the best thing that can happen to me. Somebody has noticed it and liked it.
Because I like it. Right.
It took me maybe 10 years to develop it.
Good job, well done. So,
Good job.
so we like I say.
I was about to ask a question. You said small and big. Again, I'm sure that the word big is the same word.
Yeah, the same word, gadol. So we have a big C and creatures big and small. So I guess it's not because there's some secret meaning, but just because there aren't many adjectives in that language. So you just use the same one for everything. But again, of course, we repeat the same word. It's important.
It's the word that has a deeper meaning, not just because they couldn't invent something. Probably they could invent a word that is into which many meanings are vested.
So maybe, because when we talk about biblical Hebrew, Old Hebrew, we only know what we know about it from the texts that have survived from the time, and there aren't many of them. So it's hard to say. We only know the words that they have used in the texts, and if they have used some forms, they haven't used some other forms, and there could be alternative forms, then we'll never know which form was used. So it's like Old Slavonic, again, like based on the texts only. And if you only have those words in the text, you only know those words from the text.
We have this
I can't hear you. Your voice is something funny. Please repeat it. Okay, so yeah, it's the same word, gadol, gdolot, big. And we have that word here in other places, like God is great in the first line. It's same gadol, gadolta, because it's like he. Cause same. Oh, it's a crazy language. Because really, all those verbs, adjectives, they all have different forms for I, you male, you female, they female, he, she, we male, we female. They all have different forms. It's crazy. Okay, so yeah, gadol is like a very common word, which is like everywhere, big. So we have creatures. We look at earth, at land, Eretz, we see lots of living beings there. We look at water, it's also full of weird creepers, beings. Yeah. Again, as we look at it, it's the same word, living ones, so they're not that different. Okay, then the ships travel there, and over here swims the Leviathan, you made to play in it. So even in that space, we have human presence. We have ships. Again, it's an old Hebrew word, not Aramaic, because now in modern language there are two words for ship, and one is like here, which is where is it 26 oniot ships, and the Aramaic word would be sphinot. But since it's like old Hebrew text, and you have oniot ships, then you have surface. You have the ship on the surface. Yeah, people can only travel along the surface. They don't know the deeps. They can only cross it on a special vessel, like a ship. They never go into the deeps. And then, to feel it, we have the Leviathan, that weird creature. So it's amazing how in the picture of the world, on one hand you have something like normal, like disk earth, like hard sky, nothing unusual. At the same time you have some weird creatures who live there. Like in the sky isn't solid, there's like an attic space. You have some celestial animals, which are, I guess, are like constellations, but like animals are really great, like the lion and the stag and some other animals too. And you have something like a three-legged donkey who makes water run from the sky when he sings or roars. And then, of course, you have that weird creature called the Leviathan, which, again, nobody knows what it looks like, but it's connected with, underworld, something chthonic, and it's like a sea creature. And the idea is that God created it to play with it. So it's a big sea monster, but God made it to play with it, like a pet, God's pet. So what would they translate here strangely as the whale? So it has nothing to do with whales. So again, if you say whale, you're thinking about just a normal sea and normal ship. While if you say Leviathan, it makes you feel how deep and weird and strange are the waters. And we only cross the surface on a small ship. It just makes you feel the depth, how deep it is. And then we have the word produce, which he says, where is it? You made to play in it. Well, you produced to spend time playing. So there's the word like spend time playing in games, playing games. So it's like, again, it's a happy creature, it's playing games, it's not dangerous. Maybe it is dangerous for us, but it's a happy creature. Again, playing, playful, like a puppet. Only a very big sea monster, but a puppy. Again, you just feel it. You feel how the small ship over here where we are, and we can do nothing without this artificial vessel, and the great, big, strange, deep waters with all sorts of great, big creatures in it, like the Leviathan. Phew. We can kind of cross it, but we never see anything. Okay, where is it? 26, 27. All your creatures wait for you to provide them with food on a regular basis. So it's the same idea, interesting, as with the lions. Begs question, what kind of food is it? Interesting. It's the same kind of food as with the lions. Ochel. The same word for food, ochel. So not lechem, bread, but ochel. So what is that food like? Energy of life, maybe, force of life. So we don't have the word like living here, but we do have the same word as with the lions, the food. So it's the same in water. Not really the same in water. It's all creatures, not just in water and on land. Kalam, all of the creatures. They're all waiting for these ochel, or food. Ochelim, plural, food. Interesting. And you give food to them and they receive it. You open your hand, they're filled with food. So it's all a bit weird. So you think about God and you think about food and you think like, food and God. Food and God. Because we are too clever, we forget where we are. Where would we be without food? So food is big and spiritual. Then again, doesn't have to be literal food. It is literal food and it isn't. And in line 28, you give food to them. Then we have the word lechem again, bread. So they ask for ochel, like animal food, but you give lechem. You give more, even more than they ask for. So God is really generous. And maybe because it includes humans, not just animals. Yeah. Again, we have the word, like we had the word hand with the C. In line 25, again you have your hand. Your hands are open, and it's good. Okay. So interesting how the idea of God is connected with the idea of food. Obviously food is connected with life. And not just life, but sustaining life. So what it says here basically is that God doesn't just create life and then just, now you do what you like, I don't care, but sustains life. Because giving food means regularly. Constant attention. Well, if you have pets, cats, then you know what it's like. They need constant attention because they can't. If they're domestic cats, then they can't get their own food. They depend on you to give them food, and that's what you do. Also, the same is the relationship between God and animals. Yeah.
Again, it's the connection between food and the parable in the New Testament goes not being stones instead of food. So again, you trust that you'll have your food, your daily food, the sort of 5 cats need, but also the food that human beings need, and that is only capable, and it's only God who is capable of giving it.
Which is like people are supposed to say a little prayer like, thank you God for sending us some food.
Yes, and again, the meaning of Scripture is much like, although no one denies, I think no one who says the prayer would deny that he or she also means food that can be.
So speaking of food, it can be like metaphorical, like food of life again, something that keeps you alive, can be very literal. There's a Jewish holiday which is called the Holiday of Trees, Day of Trees, and it's really interesting because the idea is, so for you to have some fruit to eat, like, it doesn't matter, like apple, banana, anything. So for it to grow, you need to have land, a planet, you need to have atmosphere, you need to have rain and sun in proportion. For it to exist, you need a balanced, let's say, solar system, if you believe in solar system, or for the solar system to exist, again, you need to have it in balance with other systems and galaxies. So all creation has to be in absolute balance for an apple to grow, if you look big. Yeah. So you may look at it from that point of view. You have your food, it's not that obvious. Because to get your food, if you trace it back and back and back and back, you come to the idea of the whole universe having to be in absolute balance to produce that fruit for you. Okay, Alexandra?
I don't think I have a lot of things to add. I think it's a very nice piece in terms of, when you usually come to church and you pray together, you usually talk about things and how, you ask for forgiveness and you ask the God to wash all of your sins. And I think sometimes we forget that religion is not only about coming to church and speaking about how we should get rid of our sins. It's also about happiness and the unity of the world, and about all these beautiful, nice things. And I think this piece, because it looks like a prayer, it's much more powerful than just coming in and saying, let's all together pray that we will be better people tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Which is why we do need to kind of slow down and look at such texts more closely, because we do tend to forget. It's a bit of a problem, I guess, in religion when people get too far in one direction. They forget what's around them and where it originally comes from. So on one hand, obviously, you need to be modest and humble, to realize that you're not perfect. At the same time, you're supposed to be happy. I believe that the Hasidic movement, they're absolutely right, and the rule number one, commandment number one, is to be happy always. Because if you're always happy, means you have your faith in God. If you're not happy, means you don't believe in God, you don't believe that God is like watching over you. Then you're not happy because something goes not the way you want it to go. Means you don't believe that God is behind it. So if you're always happy, then you may do something wrong, then you go and you say, okay, I am sorry, I'm not going to do it again, but maybe you're not supposed to focus on it that much. Maybe. Again, it's a question of balance. Right. That was a very good comment. Thank you. Okay. Now, you give food to them, they receive it. You open your hand, they're filled with food. When you ignore them, they panic. When you take away their life's breath, they die and return to dust. So again, something happy and something of a reminder. 29. So the second word is face. Again, face. We had face before. a couple of times when people's faces were shiny, and something else with the face, pnei. So basically, in Hebrew, there are lots of expressions with a face. So you hide your face, you turn your face away. And again, we have the same word as in the beginning, roch, rocham, a plural here. So it's the same in the beginning, roch, the wind, the breath, and rochot, the winds, from lines 3 and 4. So that's another word which is repeated here, and we come back to it. So we slowly, in that line, we slowly begin to return to the beginning of the text. So now we have breath again. And of course, they can't just say breath because it's ruach. Rochim, they say breath of life, because we don't have one single word for breath of life, spirit. You could say spirit, but it's also connected with breathing. Like wind, it's the same word, which they translate as wind in the beginning. It's the same word. So it's not just wind, not just breath. It's like spirit, life, breath. And then the next word is literally like approach death. So breath and approach death are next to each other. If you don't have breath, you're approaching death, they die. And then the next you have the word like ash, in the sense of earth, dust, ash. So we are first we are composing, and now we are decomposing. We show that it can go either way, that it's supposed to go either way. So how it's all connected. And again, we say it's in God's hands to give life, to take life. That's what God does. It doesn't just happen. Because, well, if you think about it, breath, your breath, roch, then it's the same, exactly the same breath or spirit that was hovering over the waters. Because then, as you may know from the Genesis, God put part of his breath into man to make a man alive. So it's the same breath, the same roch, as was in the beginning, before the beginning of time. Is you are breathing now, inhaling, exhaling, you can connect with that breath that was before the beginning of times, because ultimately we all come back to that breath. Yeah, so breath is really important in many, many ways. And here we can see how breath can be taken from you by God, because it belongs to God by right. It's not your breath. God just had given it to you, but it's still God's breath. Because if it's God's breath, it can't change into a human thing. Yeah. So breath is apart from other things, nothings. Breath is what we have of God in us, still on physical level. I'm not speaking about spiritual level, because it's but on physical level, breath is what we have of God as, and we pay literally next to no attention to it. So now people pay more attention to it with the, you know what? Maybe that's the idea, to bring your attention to breath. Maybe. So you ignore them, they panic, you take away the roch, the life's breath, they die, return to dust. So basically what it says that living creatures, including human, is dust plus breath. When you send your life-giving breath, again, life-giving breath, it's just one word. And again we repeat it. Again, ruach, your breath, your spirit, the same word again. They are created and you replenish the surface of the ground. So that's interesting here in sense of words. So we have the word again ruach, like breath, wind, spirit. And then we have the word which is like, it says replenish, but literally it's renew. Renew. And again we have the word face, pnei adama. So adama is earth, like soil, but as we already know, because we had that word before, Adam is man. So adama is like feminine, Adam is masculine, but literally it's the same word as man is made of earth. So Adam, adama. And when we say renew pnei adama, which it says replenish the surface of the ground, which is like a bit weird. Why ground? Why not land? But here we can see why ground and not land, because land is eretz, just where you live, where you do something. Adama is soil, ground, and it's where what a man is made of. Literally, because we have just said that if you take a breath away, then all that is left is dust, earth. So we are reminded of it. So pnei adama, it can be surface of the ground, or it can be literally a face of man. So we had the word pnei before, like just literally just in line 29. Yeah, 29. We don't have it in the translation, but it's like the second word in line 29, your face. And we had it in 15, when their faces shine, yeah. So then the face of a man is renewed, yeah. So you take breath away, and it comes back to dust. You give breath, and it's renewed. It comes back. The face of man is renewed. Or just the surface of the ground, whatever you prefer. But it's really kind of clever and beautiful, because it's the only, I think it's the only time when we say Adama and not Eretz. Adama like ground. So Adam's face, the man's face. Okay, comments? No comments? Okay, so then we come to like the conclusion. So after we die, we are reborn, we are brought back, we are renewed, and now we start coming back to the beginning with the word ruach, breath, spirit, life, breath. Now we start having lots and lots of names of God after that. After our breath is taken away, left out as a piece of dust, then brought back new, and we come back renewed, and now we can really see God, really sing of God, because His breath is back with us, renewed. So in next lines we have lots and lots of names of God. So line 31, we have, may the splendor of the Lord endure, may the Lord find pleasure in the living things He has made. Okay, we have again Adonai, Adonai 2 times. In that line we have the word forever again, which they say endure, but really just the same word. Olam, we had forever. Where was it? Where was forever? The earth will stay forever, yeah, somewhere, and somewhere else. So again we have the word forever after God's name, then forever next to each other. So God is forever. Yeah, then again we have God's name. Then line 32, he looks down on the earth and it shakes. He touches the mountains, they start to smolder. So here earth is like Eretz, again just land. And again we have mountains, Harim. So we are back a little bit back to the elements. And again, earth, it shakes, mountains, they start to smolder, so they are fixed, they are more or less static, but not in God's presence. So you may think you are rigid, you have fixed yourself somehow, you think your life is very stable, but if God wants, then God just touches your life and it begins to shake and smolder. Okay, looks down on the earth, mountains, again earth, rock, dust. We kind of start with dust, ash, dust, then we have earth, Adama, now we have rocks and mountains and land. So it's like growing from a little bit. I will sing to the Lord as long as I live. So we come back to the beginning now. We have I. So we only have idea of me in the beginning, because we had my soul, bless my soul. Yeah. Now we come back to it. We again 33. Yeah, so again we have words like God. Here, the second word, to God, Adonai, Le Adonai. Then next to it we have the word life. Yeah, in life, in my life. The same root as in animals, the same word, the same root, not the same word, the same root as in animals. So now God, and next to God is life. So before that we had God next to it forever, now God next to it is life. And then a word later, again we have El, like just God, name of God, and just word God in the same line. So it becomes really rich. I will sing praise to my God as long as I exist. Yeah, so again, idea of time and timeless life. Then 34, may my, not really thoughts. So that word, it's like my connection, my conversation, contemplation, my musings. Thoughts are quite linear, rigid, and it's a bit different here. It's my inner connection, let's say, my meditation. So let my meditation and okay, so now we have the word I. We have the word I, Anochi. Only in the end, only after going through all that, we have I appearing. Then what do we have? My thoughts, my musings, be pleasing to him, I will rejoice in the Lord. So here we have another really good word, smeha. Smeha, you have similar word in Russian, smeha, happy. Simha, smeha. So I will be happy with God, last 3 words here. So my musings, my meditation, then be happy with Lord, the name of God. Again, being happy connects us with Hasidic movement. I don't know how it went into that psalm. I don't know, but it's like very close to it apparently. So that's 2 words for you to learn if you want to learn something. So chokhmah and smeha. Smeha. Be happy with God, Lord, Adonai. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 references to God, God's name, and El in just 1, 2, 3, in 4 lines, which is really, really rich, intensive. Because each time you say that word or you connect with that word, each time it should be really, really powerful. So in the beginning you only have it 3 times. Here you have it 5 times. And it's not at the end yet. Then now the last line again. May sinners disappear from the earth. Earth like Eretz again. Let them be no more, let's say. And then we have the same phrase as in the beginning. Bruki nefshi. Bless my soul. So again, like they translate it like praise the Lord or my soul. It's not like praise, it's like bless. Again, it's a bit weird if you think about it from like maybe Christian perspective. How can you bless God? God blesses you. The one who has more power blesses. About all those little prayers and big prayers, many of them start with the words, blessed be you, God. So really it goes both ways. And same as God blesses you, so you're supposed to bless God. Because it's good for you, it's not for God. Because God is blessed anyway, but each time you bless someone, God or human or food or anything, then what happens is you are connected with the state of blessedness, in which case it doesn't matter at all which way it goes. Yeah, same as with love. If you're in state of love, then it doesn't matter if you love or if somebody loves you. Yeah, it goes both ways. So you're supposed, if you follow like the Jewish tradition, then you say blessed be God like many times every day. And then you remain in the state of being blessed, because that's what you can do. You can't sit around waiting for someone to come and bless you, but you can bless, and then you are blessed too, because to bless you need to connect with the state of blessedness, and it's good for you as well. So blessed my soul. Who? Again the name of God, and then again the name of God, which is like the big name of God. Hallelujah. Hallel is to praise. Hallelu is imperative. You praise who? Yah. Like again the first 2 letters of God's name. So we start with a soul, with a name of God, and we come back to soul, and we finish with the name of God. So if you just read it through and you kind of try to connect with those nodes, points of power, if you can feel it, then I guess it can be really, really powerful if you read it that way. If you don't just read it as a description, but as you let it flow through you with all that we've just discussed, how it's related to you personally and to the reality you find yourself in, and how the words are more than words, how they're little portals, then it can be really, really powerful. So one of the kind of, maybe not mistakes, but what makes it hard is that people tend to read lots and lots of prayers. Yeah, so it's like you have a book, you open it like morning prayers, evening prayers, and you have lots of prayers. So people read them through, and it's very hard to keep your attention on them, how you're supposed to do. Maybe it's better to have just one prayer, one text, one poem, and to slow down and to focus on just one text, but do it really, really properly. Then it can be quite amazing. Comments?
Well, basically, you answered again my question that I posed in the beginning. How do you read the Psalms? Meaning that you might instead of reading figures.
You just went to some fantastic land and I couldn't hear you. Could you repeat it?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yes, so just repeat it, please.
Yes. It wasn't a comment. I just said you responded to my first question today about reading the Psalms and about whether it is a good idea to, as you say, slow down and instead of reading lots and lots and lots of prayers that you sometimes read the prayer or read the psalm and to really think about it and really try and feel what's in the words.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, then you agree.
Okay, Alexandra, you with us?
I agree with everything. I'm here. I'm just, I agree.
So one very important difference between the original version and any translation is that in the original version you have the name of God, which you cannot say, those 4 letters, which each time you say Lord, Adonai, Adonai, because that's what you can say, because it's not a name, it's a title. But at the same time, each time you look at it, you see a name of God. You say another word. You say Adonai, because you can't say what you can say. While in the translation you just see Lord, and you don't see the original name. I think it's quite a powerful difference, because here you have at the same time the name you cannot say, the name that nobody knows here on this plane, and you speak it, and all the time you realize that there is the name, the real name, which is unspoken, which makes it more powerful. While if you just say Lord, you don't think, oh, I say Lord, but really it's a name which must not be spoken, cannot be spoken. So in that sense, I guess the original is always deeper. In that sense, the original is much deeper than any kind of translation. Okay? Anything else? So that was a nice meeting, and it's not even midnight yet. We may read another one. Well, I'll just hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. Okay, well then, thank you very much for coming, for staying, for not running away in horror. Nice to see you, nice to hear you. So, see you later.